And no, I don't think everyone should be facilitating 5-MeO DMT. And I don't say that as a gatekeeper. I I say it because this work has real consequences that many people just don't understand. And, you're not giving somebody an experience. You're working directly with their nervous system, trauma, and identity, when you start healing back the layers, right? When I see in this space right now, first off, there's a lot of amazing facilitators, right? So let's maybe I should start with that. But I do see a lot of people stepping into this role without enough training. And we get them in our class and we really honor the fact that they're looking for more experience and we feel really competent and confident before they step into space. And those are like the perfect candidates for our class, right? Because if you're going to do this work, it requires a level of responsibility and understanding that most people aren't prepared for. And a lot of time it's because they had their own individual experience with it and maybe similar to mine. I lay there like a little Buddha. So you think that is how other people are going to react. But when they start seeing something different happening in the space, something that they're not prepared for, that their nervous system isn't prepared for, the reality starts setting in that they understand that I need higher level of training. And again, that's why this type of training matters. You know, this isn't just a spiritual experience, right? A 5-MeO DMT session is a full nervous system event, right? And we don't hear about that often. It's always the mystical experience. You'll connect with God, source, consciousness, and all those are a possibility. But below all of that, it's a nervous system event, right? So the body can go into extreme activation or complete surrender, and often, both in the same session, right? And if you don't understand what's happening in the nervous system, you're just guessing as a facilitator. And that's why understanding the nervous system is so important in this work, but again, often overlooked because it's not about intuition alone. I've seen more facilitators get in trouble because their intuition told them to act or move forward in a certain way, and it was not ideal. And worst case scenario, it creates more trauma, right? So it's really about knowing what you're looking It's knowing about what you're looking at and knowing how to respond in real time. And that's the difference between holding space, which has become a very vague term, and actually facilitating, right? The question I get asked a lot is, what do I see the biggest mistake a new facilitator making? And, I think it's them thinking the experience is the goal, right? This mystical experience. So everything becomes about getting someone there, whatever there may mean to you, right? Non-dual, offline, pure consciousness. But that's not where the real work is, right? The real work is what happens after, how the person stabilizes. And I could even take a step back, and the real work happens before they even step into the space, right? Did you do a really good intake process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? But the real work, post experiences, how is the person stabilized? How is their identity reorganizing? How their life actually changes? And that's what shifted my perspective on this work. I mean, I've served a lot of folks, and early on, I would notice within 3 to 4 weeks that they would actually go back to what I call their baseline personality. And that told me we were missing out on an opportunity, right? And it's not just integration, because that's another vague term. It's about embodiment, right? So I think if you're not thinking about that as a facilitator, you're only doing part of the job. And again, when I call folks pipe lighters, I know people take that offensively, and I don't mean it that way. That's a fair job description. If you're just lighting the pipe, which I've said in the past, give me a monkey and a dozen bananas, I could teach it to put heat to a pipe over the course of a weekend. That is not the job. That's the easy out, right? And again, I think that's where a lot of people fall short. I think I think a really well-trained facilitator knows when to do nothing, right? Not every moment needs intervention. And often I'll see folks intervening in the experience prematurely. And a lot of times that's lack of experience, right? And sometimes the most important thing you can do is just stay grounded. Our nervous system is what's creating the container, right? And so if we can stay grounded and just let the process unfold, yes, there's times for intervention, But the times that there's not, it's like, how are we holding the space? And again, not in this vague term, but how is our nervous system reacting to what's taking place in the space? Is the participant attuning to us? And can we stay grounded and just let this process unfold? But again, that only works if you understand what you're seeing, because doing nothing from clarity is very different than doing nothing from uncertainty. Again, that's where training matters. It gives you the ability to trust the moment without guessing. And again, I just think that's crucial in this work. Holding space is not the same as facilitating, right? Again, holding space is being present, right? So a lot of times when I imagine somebody's holding space, they're sitting in a little meditative pose, and that's beautiful, right? That's not the same as facilitating. Facilitating is knowing what to do with what's actually happening in the space. It's understanding the nervous system, recognizing patterns in real time, and then responding, not reacting, but responding appropriately. Anyone could sit with someone, and maybe that's too vague. Not everyone could sit with someone, but a lot of folks can sit with someone and be part of the space, but not everyone could guide a process, especially as intense as 5-MeO DMT safely. And that's the difference. And that difference matters more than people realize.